Guys, I called last week's episode the Nate and Cassie eating shit party, and once again, I'm here to debunk that statement. This is the Nate and Cassie eating shit party, also known as their wedding. We're now 3 episodes into the season, and how is it that everybody's storyline in some way or another involves sex work? Like, Sam, what is up with that? Rue manages a whorehouse, Jules is a sugar baby, Cassie does OnlyFans, Maddie manages OnlyFans people, set pictures now showing Rue and Maddie with Alamo. Oh my god, she's gonna introduce them. I fear they'll make a Lexi-focused episode and have her, by the end, stripping and sucking dick for singles. Even Chloe Cherry, who plays Faye and used to do OnlyFans in real life herself, called Cassie's storyline absolutely crazy, because why would a privileged rich woman go do OnlyFans like that? You know? And at this point, I feel like Sam Levinson fantasizes about being a woman and how much sex he would have to get what he wants. Or maybe it's because in his mind, the only valuable thing that women have, the only valuable form of currency they have in today's society is their bodies. So he's able to launder his misogyny and give himself plausible deniability because the characters choose this, right? It's always the women who choose to use their bodies to get what they want. They take advantage of the system. And it would be fine if it was one person, but it's like every single character. Every single storyline has women go into sex work in a very nonchalant way, like it's just going down to the shop and getting a pack of cigarettes. Very casual, very unserious. Yeah, let's go make $700,000 in a month. Why not? How can you call this exploitation and misogyny when it's the women that are choosing to do all this, right? It's the same tactic he uses with slurs. We've had the N-word, the R slur. This episode gives us the T slur. It's like, how can you call him a bigot when he's an equal opportunity offender? When it's his brand, you know? So everybody's for money and everyone's using slurs and it's all good. So with all that out of the way, let's get into episode 3 right after you subscribe down below, because it's free and it helps the channel. And once again, you're gonna look so great. And also, I really want to get to 1 million followers, and I'm like 7 away. So go, go. So yeah, either he fantasizes. This episode's intro is all about Jules and how she got from being an art student to being a professional sugar baby. It all started when she was in art school and her roommate Vivian mentioned that she could be making a lot of money being a sugar baby. And it's like a 1-minute conversation where Jules wonders if she's gonna have to have sex for money, and Vivian says, well, no more than you'd have to with a boyfriend. So Jules has her first date with a sugar daddy, a 48-year-old guy who loves to lick stockings while jerking off, and that's all he wants to do. She's also seen blowing a finance guy while he's in a meeting, and then she meets Ellis, the plastic surgeon. And the voiceover has Rue compare different windows of opportunity in time to make money. The gold rush, prohibition, cryptocurrency, and she says that Jules has now found her window of opportunity to make a lot of money, you know, when she's young and desirable by a bunch of chasers with a lot of money. And once Jules realizes that she can make a lot of money by sleeping with rich men, she says,
oh, I'm gonna clean up.
Because in the world of Euphoria, it's all fun and games. You're already sleeping with people, you might as well make money doing it. We're once again glamorizing sex work. Here's Jules meeting all these rich men with no complications, no trouble, no problems. Everything is so fucking safe. You know, sex work is no more dangerous than, again, going down to the shop and buying a pack of cigarettes. And it's not that I'm the moral authority on the subject, but a lot of people that actually do sex work in real life have spoken against the portrayals of sex work in this show. You leave the show thinking that sex work is the most glamorous, easy thing in the world if you're a pretty girl, and that's it. And you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars. And eventually she meets Ellis, this plastic surgeon who quickly becomes her only client. They have a conversation on their first date, and it's very clear that he is a chaser. He fetishizes her. He compares himself to Jules because they both go against nature and do what God wouldn't do.
We defy the natural order of things. Age, gravity,
sex.
Okay, that's so insightful. Like, truly, wow, so deep. Yeah. Jules asks him if his wife knows that he fucks trans women, but she uses the T slur because we were missing a bit of that edgy dialogue. You know, we need to have a slur every 2 or so minutes just for us to remember that we're still in Euphoria world. Yeah. And it's not that people don't use these words in real life. It's that they don't use them in these circumstances, in these situations.
Does your wife know you do this?
go on dates.
Fuck
The slurs are put there to give the dialogue some edge, but they're so misplaced that it comes off as just jarring to listen to. It's jarring to watch. They hit you in the face out of nowhere, like a dick slap you weren't waiting for in a dark room. That's Cal Jacobs' territory. And the way he talks about her body is giving very Buffalo Bill energy. Talks about how poreless she is because she never went through puberty because she started transitioning at 14. And then the intro sequence before the title card shows up ends with Jules is in the middle of his living room, arms stretched upwards. She's only wearing underwear, and he is wrapping her up in plastic cling film, top to bottom, only leaving her mouth uncovered so he can make out with her while she looks like an embalmed doll mannequin. The imagery feels very horror movie coded, and once again I'm asking Sam to try and be normal for once, because what was the need? You know, we get it. He's objectifying her. Does he also have to be a fucking creep about it? I almost forgot. This Ellis guy gives her so much money that it's enough for her to drop out of college and just spend her days painting and her nights being his muse, or whatever you'd call that. I don't think he could have reduced her more to an object than he did in this scene. First bonus scene of this episode, Rosalia pole dancing with a brace on her neck. Sure, why not? Before we get to the wedding, Rue is doing quite well at Alamo's whorehouse club. She's now selling weapons, and she does presentations and talks about them at length like she's a fucking expert. Remember in season 1 when we had that quirky little sequence where Rue talked about dick pics and the science behind dick pics and how to take a good dick pic and all that? Well, now she's doing it for guns. It's not as funny, haha, because people have a problem when it comes to guns, particularly Americans. But don't worry, she says, for all of you concerned, most of these weapons that she's selling are going to Mexico. So it's fine. While she's doing really good for herself, she's even employee of the month, and then she makes the mistake of telling Alamo that she's, really working her way up to hopefully one day go legit. And you know how he has a problem with certain specific words, like in episode 2 it was the word pig and he almost lost his absolute shit? Well, this time it's the word legit. He gives her an old school, old-timey speech about how, in the past, they used to run the numbers rackets out of clubs like this until the government came in, shut it all down, and took it for themselves. Numbers rackets, as far as I understand, were like these illegal gambling games very popular in the 20th century and usually run by organized crime families and whatnot. So like a lottery system, but controlled by the mafia. And apparently the government made it illegal, and now there's lotteries everywhere. So I understand the criticism. Things that used to be illegal are now legit. But, the other way could also work. Things that used to be legal are now illegal for a good reason. It's a bit of a chicken egg discussion, but he says that all to intimidate her. Like, why the fuck are you complaining if you're making money? And all that matters is power. And the only way to get power is to make money. But the conversation is interrupted by a loose pig that Lori and her family of Nazis sent. Alamo wants to really hurt Lori, and that's when Rue says, well, she really loves her little parrot called Paladin.
You're my perfect little baby guy.
And she does. She shows a little bit of emotion towards that little bird. So put a pin on that storyline for now, because it'll come back at the end of the episode. But Rue, I feel like, is either going to take down both of these cartels, Lori and Alamo, by helping the police, or she's going to die. Because Rue is reckless, right? Remember when Lori was kind of nice to her and she was like, oh, I can trust this lady, and then was almost trafficked and had to escape by the window? And now Alamo is being nice to her and she's like, oh, I'm making money. I can literally say whatever I want. She's one bad comment away from having her skull bashed in by Alamo's boot. This man is not here to help you. This man is not here to help you make a career. He's here to exploit you for as much money as you can make him, and then he's going to ditch you. It's like in episode 2 when Angel was scared of being disappeared when she went to rehab, and guess what? She's not coming back for the rest of the season, so I think she was killed. But Rue invited Jules to Cassie and Nate's wedding, and she gives her money and says, I'm your sugar daddy now.
Just sexy.
I'm like, what? No. Why are we sacrificing so much history between these two characters just so we can have Rue act like a cliche pimp?
I'm your sugar daddy now.
Ugh. But on to the wedding from hell. Nate's in the bathroom throwing up from the nerves. Why are you nervous, Nate? Why are you such a bitch? Why is he breathing into a paper bag? Oh my God, grow up. Cassie's dress, gorgeous. But Can her chest breathe? Obviously, she's free to wear whatever she wants, and I celebrate her freedom of choice and her exercising that, but that surely can't be comfortable. And I think part of the construction of this wedding dress came from her line of lingerie, because she's been wearing exactly the same corsets at events for her brand. I really think that she had a say in Cassie's whole stylization for this season. Maddie then shows up dressed like this, and I don't get it. Episode 2, she was such a bad bitch. She had moved on. She was looking down on Cassie, realizing, damn, she really fucked up by staying with Nate. She's so unhappy. She's so miserable. And now here she is being petty with this dress, because this is what she's doing. She's being petty. I think Maddie dressed like this to cause commotion. I don't like it, because Maddie's not insecure to be doing that after all these years. You know, she's secure enough to realize that Cassie and Nate were meant for each other, and she dodged a massive fucking bullet. It don't make no sense. Jules' dress is also not appropriate. It's a wedding, not the Met Gala. Not to be hating the fashion moments of the girlies, but time and place. You know what I mean? Like time and place. But nothing compares to the floral arrangement that I think cost $50,000. I think it was that C and that N. Can we not? Then Cassie's mom walks her down the aisle, and she gives her this horrific pep talk, and as they're walking, Cassie gets increasingly more disturbed, but I'm going to do a reading. I remember waiting to walk down that aisle towards your father, just like today, filled with hopes and aspirations and all the smiling people. They were so joyous. And there I was, never realizing it was the last happy moment I'd share with your father. God, I looked so beautiful. Before I started looking like an anorexic witch. The band was playing a happy tune. Dun dun da dun, dun dun da dun. And who would have expected we'd have such terrible arguments? I mean, disappearing for days on end. And as I marched down the aisle, like we're doing right now, it never occurred to me the brutality of the man that I never knew before. It's like, how could I be so naive? Misjudging. I mean, it's not like a mistake you can fix. And then finishes with, you are my everything. You are my masterpiece. Go get him. And Cassie looks traumatized as fuck. It cuts straight away to them saying their I do's, and then they make out aggressively in front of everyone. Guys, it's a kiss, not a makeout session. Calm down. And this is when Rue gets a call from Alamo telling her to do a pickup at Lori's. Not asking, telling. So she ditches Jules and leaves. And we'll pick that up at the end, right after the rest of the wedding. The wedding is super tacky, and they have an ice sculpture, and Cassie says, I look chubby. It's humiliating. Oh no. It'll get thinner as it melts. To which Cassie retorts, but I don't want my boobs to melt too quickly. Cassie, is Cassie ever gonna talk like a person again? She's stuck in this endless cycle of brain-dead bimbo jargon, and it's so jarring to watch, because she was a bimbo before, but she had depth to the character. She had some more nuance. I feel like her performance added something extra to Cassie that we are completely missing from this season. Like I said last week, she's the caricature of a person. Second bonus scene, blast from the past. BB is here, remember her? Last time we saw her, she was running up behind Maddie. And now she's pregnant and probably doesn't know who the baby daddy is. Like, you know, even with the side character, Sam can't give anyone a decent fucking ending. What?
Did you change your number?
Sure. It's for the memes, you know? But Jules speaks to Cal by the bar about their past and don't like this conversation. Cal is super relaxed now. He openly talks about how he fucked his son's classmate, even though that's not what he did, because Jules was a minor and so was the other kid. Minors can consent. And Cal talks about the situation like Republicans do and like Donald Trump does, you know, you looked of age and you both lied to me. I thought you were 18. It's not my fault that I like them young, you know, they lied to me. I was so blithely unaware of the fact that I was committing a crime. If your defense is you lied and told me you were of age, first of all, why are you wanting to hook up with people that look like children when you're in your 40s/50s? You know what I mean? It's always middle-aged men in these podcasts who always talk about how women are in their prime when they're in their late teens, early 20s, because that's when they're more fertile. And it's like, can you sound like less of a predator, please, when you talk about women's bodies? We've reached such a shameless point in society that they are just openly defending that they're sleeping with minors and that that's fine because they look old enough. These are the same people that insist on wanting to protect women and kids, and it's just... And he complains that he's on the sex offender registry, that it's unfair, and he doesn't want people to think of him as a pedo. And Jules is there like, aw, poor guy. Anyway, have fun. I know that including something in a show isn't necessarily defending that position. You know, you can have bad people in your show. It doesn't mean that you support those bad things. But the way that the narratives are framed and the way that these opinions are presented and the way these characters interact kind of sounds like a manifesto of his own personal struggles and feelings and thoughts about things. So, ew. And then during the speeches, Maddie once again continues this trend of looking at them emotionally and like with sadness in her eyes, and then she leaves early. And I'm like, why would she ever be jealous of those losers? Imagine looking like this and then being jealous of losers. No! Third bonus scene is Lexi saying she doesn't believe in marriage because 100 years ago they would have sold her for cows. And I couldn't agree more, Lexi. Let's remind people of the original meaning of marriage, like how it started and how it was a contract, a trafficking contract. You sell your daughter in exchange for some cows, maybe a horse, if you're fancy.
Are you a virgin? It's better than her piece.
And then mid-dinner, the guy that Nate owes a lot of money to, his name is Nassim, Naz for short, shows up and confronts him, intimidates him quietly and calmly in front of everyone. It's so good. Seeing Nate shit his pants, love it. His asshole clenched. Not a drop of water could go through. And Naz has thoughts on this wedding. Like, for example, how foolish it is to throw such a lavish party when you owe so much money to so many people. The entire wedding party hears him, and Cassie's friend, you know, the one who was shocked that she was dressing as a baby online for men to jerk off to, goes to her husband straight away and tells him Nate owes a lot of money to this guy, this creepy guy. He's threatening him. I don't even know where he's from, but we gave him so much money. Speak to him. And Naz tells Nate in front of Cassie that he used to be Nate's friend, but now he's going to become his worst nightmare. And Cassie is slowly unraveling. You can tell. Look at her face. Look at her eyes. She's spiraling. Go right wing, this is what happens. You spiral out of control. They then share their first dance in front of everyone.
I do not want to downsize. I want more.
And the dance, what is this? What in the white bread, sauceless, unseasoned chicken is going on here? What is the coordination of newborn calves that just been spat out by a cow? At some point outside over a cigarette, Nate and Jules also speak, and it feels like this giving closure moment to characters that didn't necessarily need closure from each other anymore, because it's been so fucking long. Like, so damn long since these two even interacted over text, let alone in person. For them to have this moment is like, okay, this is the Nate rehabilitation tour. We're trying to get him in everybody's good graces. We're trying to get everyone to come around to Nate, realize, oh, he's not a crazy psychopath anymore. We should give him a chance. No, absolutely not. He doesn't deserve to have his image cleaned or rehabilitated. He deserves to be in prison. Like prison. If I'm not mistaken, the last few interactions these two had in person, one of them was Nate threatening to send Jules to prison by going to the police and showing them the nudes that she had sent him at his request, just so she stays away from his father, even though she wasn't anywhere near his father. And then I think they had another conversation later in season 2, but like that should have been it. That should have been the closure they need. But they needed to get all these characters into the same venue because, you know, they moved on since high school and there's absolutely no fucking reason why they should all be in the same room because they have nothing in common. These characters now belong in different shows. Like you have Rue's Western, you have Jules's Diary of a Call Girl, and you have Nate and Cassie's Livin' La Vida Trumpian. I do genuinely think this moment was put here to show us that Jules has moved on and that Nate never really wished her any ill will. He was just potentially an immature kid who was trying to deal with his negative feelings by lashing out at other people. But I think we could have gotten a little bit more than just nothing of that. All they talk about is how Maddie and Rue are no longer there, and then he thanks her for being there, and that's it. Like, we could have used a little more than that. If you're going to give these two characters closure, maybe write a little bit of dialogue, but I guess he used up all the words with the T slur and the F slur, because slurs need to be there. It's important. Nate's friend then confronts him about all the money that he owes, and Nate explains that in the latest development, they found a white fritillary, which is apparently an endangered flower, and because of that, they had to pause the entire development until the city finds a way to move this flower. It sounds like the most ridiculous thing, but Nate assures him that that's why, and it's so fucking infuriating because of how ridiculous it is. And they end the conversation with, fuck that flower, we're gonna find a solution for this.
Fuck that flower. Fuck that fucking flower.
Well, Cassie's friend talks to her as well and says it all makes sense now. He's pimping out his wife for wedding decorations.
No, I did that.
Cassie never misses a chance to humiliate herself and really prove to people that she's not being controlled or manipulated, okay? This is all from her. This is all from her sick little mind. Can't blame anyone else. Blame... I also found out through the comment section on my last video that you can't actually do baby play on OnlyFans. They have like very strict terms of services, and that type of content would be removed immediately. So for Sam to have even included that in the storyline just maybe goes to show that he doesn't know anything about OnlyFans, or maybe he just doesn't care about realism, or maybe the baby pictures were not for OnlyFans, they were for Instagram, which makes this just infinitely worse because putting them on Instagram is just humiliation for free. At least on OnlyFans, she can make money out of it. You know what I mean? The shocking part is that she didn't even know that Nate was broke. So she wasn't doing it because she needed money to like survive or get out of debt. She was doing it because she wanted fancy flowers at her wedding. I love it. I honestly love it. I honestly, yeah, I would have done the same because I'm a whore and I don't care. But like, that's such a man's mentality to have. Like, I'm just gonna sleep for some fucking extra this and extra that. I feel like that's what men jump to straight away if they could, but they can't. So instead they have her do it. Okay, well, you know, projection. That's it. I don't have a tagline for that. Cassie finds out Nate is broke, so Cassie does what Cassie does best. She confronts him in front of all of his friends. You want me to be the perfect housewife? You want me to cook and clean?
And suck your cock.
Modern Cassie feels like a merging of Maddie and Cassie because she has the nerve that Maddie had to confront Nate in front of everyone, but she also has the lack of brain that Cassie used to have. So it's like you combine the best of Maddie and the worst of Cassie, and what you get is...
You're not a man. Men provide.
And Nate is trying to de-escalate the situation, which makes this feel even more of a fever dream. And he says, well, all I do is provide for you. And Cassie fucking loses it.
I'm the reason you're conning all of your neighbors.
I love seeing Nate getting yelled at in front of people and not be able to do anything about it. But then Cassie could have had such a good serve. But instead, she starts calling him a liar, screaming hysterically and crying, and shaking a bottle of champagne until the cork explodes and hits him in the face. But he doesn't do anything about it. He like is super chill. All he does is walk out, put some ice on it, and then walk out of the venue with Cassie arm in arm, happy as a happy married couple. And we got gold, white, and blue, which is like red, white, and blue, the Trump version. This is a White Lives Matter crowd here. And on the drive back home, Nate simply apologizes, takes ownership for getting them into the situation, and promises to do whatever he can to get them out of the situation, and then says how grateful he is to be married to Cassie, to be able to call her his wife.
I am so grateful to call you my wife.
The Nate Jacobs groveling. I see what they're doing. It's the rehabilitation tour of Nate Jacobs. Like, let's try to reform his image, clean it up a little bit, you know, here and there. Let's forget the time that he nearly killed a college kid or then framed him for trying to kill his girlfriend and got him sent to prison when he's the one who did all that, or when he was sexting Jules and nearly got her in prison. Some people not familiar with the Nate Jacobs might be watching this and thinking, wow, he's being really considerate considering she's a bit of a like, you're groveling too much, man. She needs to apologize to you, or maybe show some understanding because she doesn't understand how difficult it is to be providing for this family when all she's doing is dressing up as a dog or a baby around the house with a housekeeper. But no, he's super understanding, and I'm starting to think that they're really trying to clean up his image. And apparently, rumor has it that Jacob Elordi only agreed to come back if Nate was less of a psychopath. Why would he do that? You know what I mean? Like, did he just not want to play a psychopath on screen? Was he uncomfortable with playing a character that violent? You're an actor. They get home. Nate carries her through the foyer like you're supposed to do after you get married, only to find Naz is there. And Naz brought this really big guy. You know, this is the actor that you hire whenever you want to have mercenaries in movies be a genuine threat to your heroes. And he's there to beat Nate up. And right at the beginning of the altercation, Cassie gets hit and starts bleeding from her nose. And then... What ensues is like the funniest sequence of Cassie on the floor, screaming and crying, while Nate is manhandled and dragged across this living room, thrown around against the walls, punched. He's bleeding, getting beaten to a pulp, and Cassie's in the middle of it, crying, not because her husband is getting beat up and nearly killed, but because it's so unfair. This was supposed to be the best day of her life, and now it's turning into the worst day of her life. And Az is like, I know, I tell him to listen, but he doesn't listen. Eventually, Nate is on the floor. His face is completely covered in blood, and he is begging for his life at this point. He's genuinely begging. Oh my God, did you hear that? Yeah, beg, bitch. Yeah, beg, bitch. Ah! And then, to really send a message, the piece de resistance, they cut off his pinky toe. They knew maximum damage, minimum visibility. Let's get that fucking pinky toe. So that was fucking hilarious. But back to Rue. To finish off her storyline, she goes to do a pickup at Lori's, and Alamo's associate, his name is Bishop, goes with her. And he says he's there to test the merchandise because even though they could buy their product from other suppliers, they like Lori's prices. They just want to make sure that she's not trying to kill them all. But he's really there to poison Lori's bird. And he does that right under their noses. Like, in front of them all. They're all just, he does it in a room full of people just staring at him. How he manages that, I don't know. He's good. So hours later, while Lori is sleeping, her bird, Paladin, drops and starts convulsing until he dies. Like, damn, that was a slow, painful death for a bird. And the music is really tense, and they're trying to really build this Western vibe, but I feel like this is a good moment to say that the music this season, no, I missed the original sound of Euphoria from season 1 and 2, but they had to do fuckeries behind the scenes, and Labyrinth left the project, and Hans Zimmer stayed. I don't know how the hell they got Hans in this, because Hans is really good, but I don't think it's a good match, because it's impossible not to yearn for that musical style that we were so used to in season 1 and 2. Like, that was another one of the best aspects of the entire show. The audio identity that Labyrinth was able to create for the show that is now completely gone and has been replaced by a classical score that doesn't really gel at all. But Rue's storyline ends with her driving back and getting stopped by the DEA. And that was episode 3. And from next week's preview, I think that Rue is going to start working with the cops to bring Alamo and potentially Lori down. And that's why I really think she's going to die. And I think that Cassie is going to start doing sex work for real in real life, with Maddie helping her out maybe to try and get Nate out of debt. I don't know, but future storylines, again, going to include a lot of sex work, because that's all we got this season. They should call this Euphoria. You, sex, or yeah. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you liked the video, make sure to leave it a like down below. Subscribe to my channel. Click that bell notification so you never miss a future upload from me. We'll be back next week, same time, with episode 4. Let's see where the season takes us. I'm expecting better things, because the preview showed a couple of moments that seemed like they had the juices to really make it. So we'll see. Don't forget to also follow me on my socials. They're all linked down below. If you fancy it, do it. And until next time, stay safe, stay sane, stay stupid, and stay stuttering. Bye, guys.